Welcome to Witchcraft Unveiled, where we walk the crooked path through history, psychology and belief. I'm your host, and today's question bridges the early modern world with modern neuroscience. Could false memory syndrome have influenced the Essex Witch Trials? We often think of witch trials as products of superstition, religion and fear. But what if part of the story lies deeper, in the construction of memory itself? Let's step into the 17th century Essex and look at its trials through the lens of modern psychology. Between 1560 and 1670, Essex, England, was the epicentre of witchcraft prosecution. It was a time of plague, civil war and religious anxiety. The most infamous period came under Matthew Hopkins, the self-proclaimed Witchfinder General. Between 1645 and 1647, Hopkins helped accuse over 100 women, many elderly, poor or widowed, and dozens were executed. His methods, interrogation, observation of so-called witches' marks, and above all testimonies from neighbours, family members and even children. These testimonies weren't always a product of malice. Sometimes they may have been a product of something much subtler and much more insidious. In the 1990s, a debate erupted in psychology and the law around false memory syndrome. The idea that people can form detailed, emotional and self-incriminating memories of events that never happened. Historian and minister, the Reverend Steve Holford, explains it this way. False memories are constructed by combining actual memories with the content of suggestions received from others. During the process, individuals may forget the source of the information. This is known as source confusion. We remember the content, but forget where we got it. Even more compelling, Holford references a study by psychologist Saul Cassin in innocent participants were falsely accused of crashing a computer. When a Confederate claimed to have seen them press the wrong key, many actually signed confessions, felt guilty and even constructed vivid memories of doing it. Just imagine the same pressure, but in a Puritan courtroom in 1645. Let's take the trial of Elizabeth Clark, the first woman accused by Matthew Hopkins. She was old, disabled and interrogated for days, pressured to name other witches. Eventually she confessed and implicated several others. But why would she do that? Steve Holford identifies several conditions that contribute to the formation of false memory. First, there are demands on individuals to remember. Magistrates exert pressure to match accusations made against them. Second, the accused, having heard family and neighbours making statements against them, start to believe their guilt and construct memories to explain it. This isn't just theory. It reflects how these trials unfolded. Neighbours testified. Children claimed to see familiars or devils. Magistrates demanded confessions. And some of the accused began to create narratives that fit what everyone said must be true. Were these intentional lies? Not always. The human mind under pressure does what it must to survive. Children played a striking role in the Essex Trials. Under Hopkins' watch, several girls claimed to have seen women consorting with devils or summoning spirits. But children are especially vulnerable to suggestion, as modern experiments have shown. As Holford writes, merely claiming to have seen a person do something can lead that person to make a false confession of wrongdoing. What happens when a child is told by adults, "Yes, you saw this, you must remember"? They often do remember, even if the event never occurred. In this context, the courtroom becomes a stage for memory manipulation, and in some tragic cases, perhaps children believing they told the truth help send innocent people to the gallows. Similar events occurred during the satanic ritual abuse accusations of the 1980s. Let's return to Holford one more time. He states, individuals can be encouraged not to think about whether their constructions are real or not. In a Puritan society where devils and witches were real and present dangers, doubt wasn't just discouraged, it was forbidden. Accused witches were pushed not only to confess, but to provide detailed accounts, familiars' names, diabolical meetings, shape-shifting. Many complied. Why? Because memory is social, because they were afraid, because they began to believe. They constructed stories to match the script. Does this mean all memories from witch trials are false? Of course not. As Holford wisely cautions, because we can implant false memories, in no way implies that all memories that arise after suggestion are necessarily false. But it does mean that some testimonies, especially those under duress or social pressure, deserve a second look. And it helps us to understand how real people, caught in real fear, might have believed they saw or did impossible things. The story of the Essex Witch Trials is not only about religion, misogyny and fear. It's also a warning about the fragility of memory. What we remember may not always be what truly happened. Thanks to historians like Steve Holford and the insights of psychological research, we're beginning to see these old stories with new eyes. Thank you for joining me today on Witchcraft Unveiled. If this episode stirred something in you, consider sharing it and reflecting on how memory shapes justice, even today. Until next time, walk your path wisely. And I hate to say this, but please like and subscribe, which pretty much everyone says. Bye.